So you got to get the medical detox, but you got to do the follow-up where you get out and not get the fuckets one. You know what? That powder, because I didn't get into all the other forms. They make those little the 7
like elixirs and like shots and things.
All that stuff. That you know what? That wasn't when I first started. That wasn't there. So I was just using the powder, and I really wasn't aware of the other stuff until the Feel Free thing. And then when we have our Tuesday night meeting, which has been going on for 2 years, that's when I started learning about all the other stuff, which I didn't do. But if that stuff is as strong as Feel Free in those little pills, and they're eating a half a dozen of those a day, that's way worse than the habit I had. And it was bad enough coming off what I was doing. So I can't imagine, that they would need help.
Welcome to the Sober Spill podcast. I'm your host, Isabel. On this podcast, we have real conversations with people in recovery, their families, and organizations that pertain to this field. Today, I'm here with the host of the clinical side of our podcast, Jana Wu.
Thank you, Isabel. My guests will discuss best clinical practices, new emerging trends in substance use and mental health disorders, and how we can best take care of ourselves and our loved ones in recovery.
See you every Thursday.
And come spill with us soon. Hi, welcome to the Sober Spill. Today, I am very excited to have my friend Frank M. join us again. Frank is known as Earl Slick to most of the world, and he is a legendary guitarist who's worked with David Bowie, John Lennon, Robert Smith, Yoko Ono, and many other iconic artists throughout decades of music. Frank was a huge part of the emerging New York music scene in the 70s and has continued his career in playing and teaching guitar all over the world. Beyond his accomplishments as a musician and author, Frank brings a deep personal perspective on creativity, culture, substance use, and Kratom. In today's conversation, we speak about the realities of Kratom use and recovery. Frank is actually out playing in Ireland today as we post this podcast, and he joined us again on the Sober Spill this fall before he started touring back in Europe. So welcome to the Sober Spill again, Frank.
Happy to be here. I'm in between things, so not much going on the rest of the year. So I'm just doing stuff around my house. Normally I'm not good at being off. I'm really bad at it. But you know what? I just decided to redo my front porch. I just doing things around here just to, enjoy myself while I got time, until next year. Because the next event comes like after the first of the year. I got a few, actually, I lie. I consider just doing this like a week here or 2 days here and there, not working. So there's a little bit of that going on from now to the end of the year. But in the meantime, I got the dog and it's the fall and I love it. I don't mind being off around this time of the year. It's good.
It's gorgeous. And you had a really busy spring and summer. You were working on a lot of different projects. I don't know if you're able to share any of the things in any of your travels.
Yeah, we went over there and it's like 3 trips there this year. In March, when I went over, there's an artist that I just did a couple of records with. So we did a few shows and I did some promo stuff, came back here and did some work, and then went back in June to this amazing place in Scotland, Loch Lomond. It's a resort. And they had a big promo show, a guitar show with a bunch of guitar players, and we did master classes and we did some playing. It was great. It was like, I got paid to basically have a vacation and hang out with only guitar players for a week. It was wonderful, I've been doing that kind of stuff. And I got a couple of, working on a couple of more records before the year's over, but just, a day here and a day there, which is fine. It's great, so that's it. I'm enjoying myself in the meantime.
Yeah. You've been recording a lot,
Yeah.
the past few months, every time I've talked to you, you've been really like all over the States, all over, Europe. So welcome back. I'm glad it's feeling good. So I thought, we just talk about how, you've lived through so many different eras of music and been a part of so many different eras. What do you think for yourself has changed the most in your own process or your own relationship with music and performing?
It always changes, and most musicians, and I've done this myself sometimes, and I guess I got some wisdom in my years now, but every time it changes, we all have a shit fit. Everybody. It's like when the disco thing happened and when this happened, and what's really changed is the music seems to change with the technology, which is going to actually tie in with the other stuff we're going to talk about today.
Yep.
Because at the beginning, it was people in a room. You recorded on tape, big tape machines, and then it little at a time that would change. Then technology let people do more things. Especially when the digital age came in, and the music changed a lot because of that. So I do a lot more things now, and instead of shunning it, I went, you know what, this works. At least I'm still working, and I can still play music. And it does change with the times. There is always going to be some amount of rock and roll music there, but it's not been the mainstream for a while. Still, there's a lot of bands out working, but the bigger artists now are more of the pop artists. But I've been doing this so long that the people that I deal with, I'm always going to have something to do.
Yep.
Yeah, and even if some of it, if 20 years ago somebody asked me to do a master class, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Now I can do them. They're easy now.
I'm like, yeah, since I've known you, you've done so many. I mean, at some really top universities, again, internationally.
Yeah, and
the
it's
best
really cool.
schools in the country. It's awesome.
And when they first got my manager, Berkeley School of Music, is like probably the biggest one on the planet. And they got a hold of me. They wanted me to come and do seminars and masterclass. I said, these kids know, I can't even read music. These kids know more than I do. They go, we don't need you for that. Things have changed so much that they interact only on the internet and through their computers that they don't know what to do when they get out of school. They don't know all the different ways to use their instruments and their talent to make a living.
How did you know? How did you learn how to do this for, like several decades? Like make a living?
It was a different world. I could actually make it like, nobody teaches somebody how to be a mom or a dad. You know what I mean? It's natural. And when I was doing it at the beginning, it was, God damn it, I've been doing it so long. I picked up a guitar. I learned how to play it. Then there was a couple other guys in the neighborhood and they were playing. So we started playing together. And then some of us got good, and then we started doing gigs at like high schools, at dances, and then bars, which you could make money there, because back then you could work. They don't pay bands to play anymore in clubs. They just don't. They have to bring their own audience. They have to do all their own advertising. And even if they have 1 million followers on their social media, maybe 10 people show up. But back then, every time we played, the way people use the internet now as a social platform to hang out with each other, we did that in the clubs.
In real life.
The clubs actually were full to the brim. You didn't advertise nothing. You just played there, and automatically there were people there. And that's where we hung out. That's where we found other musicians and learned how to play. That's how we did it. It's gone. It's not there anymore. So they come out of the Berkeley school, and then they go on, now what? So that's kind of where I came in.
Yeah.
It's good to teach them that, to pass it along and say, look, it's all well and good doing everything cyber, but you need to, it's music's about people interacting with each other face to face, which it stunts a lot of these guys from doing to actually reaching their full potential.
Well, I think just in general, we talk a lot about that, how different face-to-face communication is and how many people don't have as much opportunity to get out, and things are, feeling, oh, hi, Hank, more unsteady for a lot of people. I think, looking at your long career, looking at your body too, your job is very physical. I'm curious if we can talk about, when, you share before a part of your story of, the arthritis and, your body being in discomfort and pain, and how that affected, who you are, your sense of self, and your ability to perform and even just practice.
It's kind of, when it first starts to happen, you get taken by surprise, because I always look at arthritis and your body getting beat up for guys that like work manual jobs, or athletes. Look at athletes. No matter how good they are, there's a shelf life, because you can just take so much punishment. So especially with the hands, like people that type all the time, sooner or later they're going to get carpal tunnel, right? And And with a piano player, a guitar player, a drummer, sooner or later your wrists and your hands just get beat to hell. And and then they get arthritic. And I noticed it, oh God, about 2017-ish maybe, or 18, that I would drop a guitar pick on the floor and I couldn't pick it up. My dexterity of my fingers, I'm going, what's wrong with this? Is weird, And then I went to my doctor and he said, you got the beginnings. Your hands are you're going arthritic. And it wasn't rheumatoid, which is good. He says, you just beat the crap out of your hands so long that this is what happens. So I accept that part of it. I can deal with it, but just to get, it wasn't so much the pain part. It was the inflammation part.
Yeah.
Like right now, at the moment, my hands feel puffy, like, stiff. Now, if I pick my guitar up and play it for about 15 minutes, that will go away. So I do it every day. I do it anyway. Because one of the doctors told me, he said, well, do you do any therapy of any kind? Can we get you therapy? I said, well, I play my guitar every day. He said, you know what?
That's
the
it.
best
Yeah.
thing, right? Yeah. And if your knees go, you need to walk.
Yeah.
Because if your knees get a little stiff and you sit too much, they're going to get worse. You walk every day. That helps. But it doesn't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. But so here comes the Kratom story, right?
Yeah.
I was using like gummies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they look, and then we give you that stuff that you rub on, and it really wasn't doing much.
Like CBD oils, like to rub on.
Yeah, it works for 5 minutes, So anyway, I had this percussion background singer worker for me. This man must have smoked a bale of pot every day, right? You could just follow his smell all over the place. So we were in the afternoon, and we were in, where were we? Ventura, California. Beach kind of town, and we were doing a gig then. It was a beautiful day. He goes, I'm out of paper, so you want to take a walk? I said, I will, because I'm going to get some gummies, over there. So I mentioned to the guy, do you have any gummies? And I said, I use them for arthritis. He said, well, you know what? I got an idea for you. So he brings out this little bag with Kratom. The first time I even
heard it, like a smoke shop, or like you were a vape shop?
It was no, it was like a head shop place. They were mostly selling pipes and papers and that kind of stuff, and the gummies and all that. And I can't, Captain something or other it was called, right? And it had this really cool package. And I said, okay, I'll try it. So I bought some, and I used it a few times. I kind of forgot that I had it. And then I went, you know what? Let me try it again. So I started to use it on a regular basis. And if I ran out, nothing happened at all. No withdrawals, nothing uncomfortable. I ran out. I said, this is pretty cool.
Can I talk about, so if you found it at a head shop too, and I know you've been long-term sober from a lot of things, did you think when you picked it up, like this could be problematic, or it's at a head shop, maybe it could, like did you have any of those thoughts when you first got it?
I must have had a really naive moment, because it didn't occur to me, because the gummies I'm getting, that's perfectly, I wasn't worried about those, so I didn't really think about that, and so when I started using it regularly, all of a sudden, zero pain.
Mm-hmm.
My dexterity was a lot better.
Yeah.
And then as I was using it longer, I noticed, because I'm an ADD poster boy, and I noticed it was like doing that. It was doing anxiety. It was doing all this stuff. And going, holy shit, this is great, and I don't have to worry about ending up in a detox. And
I think that's one of the things that we've talked about before. It's like, for a lot of people, they're like, this is what, 4 different pills could do for me. So
exactly.
It's like, why stop then? What happened that made it not workable for you? Or when did you start to be concerned about it?
I was in London. I was there, basically there constantly up until the pandemic. I was spending about 6 months there and 6 months here. So I went over there in January of 2020, when they were just talking about the pandemic. It really hadn't hit the fan yet. Anyway, I brought some with me because I couldn't get it in England. Yeah. So I packed some. And so we were doing the gigs, and I was using it. Everything was fine. And I ran out, about 2 months after I got there. And nothing happened. No withdrawals, no nothing. Came back to the States 8 months after the beginning of the pandemic, and I bought some. And I started using it again, not even thinking twice about it. Well, about 9 or 10 months later, I ran out one day and I got sick as a dog.
Yeah.
And I'm going,
Like how? What happened? Was it like
but it was
opioid
weird.
withdrawal? What was it?
What did it feel like?
Yeah.
I never was an opiate user before. I mean, I was a cocaine, benzos, eating them like M&Ms, and alcohol. That's what I did, right? So I never was a opiate guy. So, but it felt, I was very shaky, kind of similar to alcohol and benzos, kind of. You're shaky, you're out of it, you get sweaty. My head was killing me. And I'm going, this feels like freaking withdrawals. This is impossible. So I get some more. Took it, felt fine. I go, okay, here it is. So I kept using it for a while. And then it got to the point where I was going into withdrawals in between doses.
Wow.
So I would use it in the morning as soon as I got up. So I leveled me out and I wasn't getting high. It made me feel normal. That's when you know. That's when you know. And then at the last couple of months on that really bad run, I would use my morning dose and 2 hours later, I'm withdrawing. I'm going, this isn't possible. So that went on for about a month. And then I went and went to detox.
How did you know? Yeah. How did you know? Because we talked about that in the last show you came on, that you hadn't done a detox before. But like, what now when you look back, what do you think made this time different? You're like, I actually need a medical detox, or I need to go away to get off of this. Because
I knew what alcohol was and I know what could happen. But I haven't had a drink in 40 years. So no issue. Right? Nice. Cocaine withdrawal is not going to kill anybody. You're just going to get depressed and be in a shitty mood for a week and then you'll be fine. Alcohol will kill you if you stop dead. Benzos will kill you if you stop dead. Yep. I didn't know what was going to happen with this. What if this is like benzos and I end up seizing or something like that? That's where I went. So I went and I looked all over online and I basically couldn't find one place at that time that even mentioned it. So I called a place, told them what was going on. They knew what it was. And they went in there and they treated it as if I was coming in with a full-blown heroin addiction. So when I left there, it's just worse shape than I was when I went in. So I just started using it again. And eventually, I don't know how much longer after that. And I did another search. And then I specifically put in Kratom rehabs, Kratom detox, all kinds of keywords. And I came up with Mountainside. And when I got on your site, you guys had the most comprehensive information on what it was, what it did, and the problems it caused, and how they were going to detox it. And that's Mountainside. And then I ended up screwing up at one point and went back last December. You know, I can't even tell you why. I mean, I don't know. I'm an addict.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
I'm Ricky, recovery support clinician here at Mountainside. We offer a healthcare professionals program for physicians, nurses, dentists, and therapists. Our team of board-certified addiction specialists provide discreet, comprehensive treatment for substance use and co-occurring disorders. We're here to help you achieve sustainable recovery with a plan built around your unique needs. Reach out to admissions at mountainside.com for more details.
What were there, like, so you were going to withdrawals like almost every few hours, but were there any other side effects you had from the Kratom now that you look back? Because I know for some people, like a lot, people turn to it for arthritis, and for some people it causes like severe inflammation, or some people go on it to lose weight, but then it causes like severe gastrointestinal issues. Some people go on it for anti-anxiety, but then they get really, really anxious when they don't have it. Did you have any other side effects when you were using it daily?
Only side effects that I got from that was annoying was you would get constipated, right? No, I didn't get any other side effects. So obviously, when you run out, right, and you start to withdraw from this, yes, you're going to get inflammation and you're going to get pain because that was keeping you from getting inflammation and pain. So, all the good parts of it, as soon as you put the stuff down, all the old symptoms come back like really quick, really fast. And they come back worse than they were in the first place because you're so used to them being under control, and it seems to not be the same for everybody that uses this stuff, which is weird. If you give somebody a Valium, let's say you give 10 people a Valium, 9 of them are probably going to get exactly the same effect from it, or a glass of wine or whatever. But you could take 10 people and give them Kratom. You might get 10 different reactions on how they feel from it.
Well, people are using it for so many different things, so many different applications. And then there are such a wide myriad of different like symptoms that people are having. And for you, it sounds like the worst one was the early, like the withdrawal, like going into withdrawal daily. It's like so uncomfortable. What was that like for you to realize that sort of like gotcha moment? Like you'd been sober for so many things for so long.
All of the shame and all the embarrassment and all that you're a loser shit came back. And I went, wait a minute. No, get away from that. Just go get fixed, right?
Yeah.
Now, when I went in December of last year, 2024, right? Leading up to that, when I did go out and use it again, it wasn't working. It worked a little bit for about 3 or 4 days, and then all it was doing was making me feel sick. I felt like crap. I actually felt like I was in withdrawals while I was using it. It just stopped working, period. And so that's when I went back in. I would use it, and like I said, for a couple of days it was perfectly okay, and then it just no. But I think that happens with a lot of drugs that you use long term anyway.
Yeah, that you do build up this tolerance where you can't get the same effect.
Like the Adderall for the ADD, I count those things every single day. Make sure that because you could forget. And you're double dosing, right?
Why do you think, we've talked before about like how ADD has increased so much. Why do you think Kratom, why at this time do you think the huge surge in popularity? Like we know it's been in the States since like maybe the early 2000s, but obviously we've seen it really grow during the pandemic. And now it's been like a huge explosion. Here we are at the end of 2025. Why do you think that's happening?
Now you opened up the big can of worms. Look at what's going on in this country right now. Look what's going on in the world, especially in the United States. You've got kids that in a whole generation. I got a Gen Z. I got an 18-year-old.
Gen Z kid, yeah.
Right. And they are inundated. I mean, I don't know how their brains handle all the shit that they look at every day.
And you can't erase it. Once you see it, you can't take it back. No. I think that's one of the trickiest things. When we look at something, it flashes across our screen, something horrible, like a horrible image. We can't erase that from our brain. We just keep on putting on more and more.
Not only that, but the rhetoric they're hearing about everything from politics to social issues. And then the internet is forever. So you get people that will put up and say some horrible shit. Oh, I'm going to take that down. Well, that's a trick they use because once they said it, they can't unsay it. And even if they take it down, the damage is done. So they're being inundated with it. If you think about it, there's like this whole nootropic thing. It's ridiculous. There's all these weird different things that the best way I can describe this is like when I started drinking and using, I wasn't playing doctor. I was having fun.
Okay.
Right? Drink some beers, do some blow, chase girls, play rock and roll, having a blast. 20 years later, though, I trashed it all. Right?
It wasn't having such fun.
It wasn't fun anymore, right? So I was done. But now when you talk to people, they're medicating with it. There's a big
very
difference.
Interesting distinction. So it's not to have fun so much.
Difference.
To feel better, just to live, just to feel some sense of sanity or, feel balanced.
Because they're selling mini doses of this, that, and the other thing that you can do. And, that's got to be that's a testament to what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And selling it sort of everywhere, very accessible. Like just like we need to fill up unless you have an electric car, you need to fill up your car with gas. Things are available at a gas station to keep people going all day. Yeah. And that is interesting. How have you talked about this with your Gen Z, or have you talked about it with your kid?
With my kids?
Yeah, like Kratom in general. Like how
I'm straight up with them on this stuff. Yeah. Matter of fact, my older one, the 40-year-old, is a great drummer, and he's been on tour with me and the guys from the band a number of times. He's a great drummer, and in between work and stuff, he works out a lot. He's in great shape, this guy, and he was doing a thing. He had a little YouTube thing that he was doing for his workout thing. A couple years ago, when I was still in the heavy using part of the Kratom, he said, "Hey, Dad, I just found this new stuff. It's this kava stuff, and I tried it, and really good for him working out." I said, "What is it?" Blah, blah, blah. I said, "Okay." I said, "You know what? let me see what, So he sent me a bottle of Feel Free.
Mhm.
Right? And he said, just take a half of this you'll be good. Right. And I looked at the thing and I'm going, wait a minute, it's Kratom in here. And
Yeah.
this is when I knew I was already in trouble with Kratom. I said, dude, you're playing with fire. You really are. But he's a funny guy. He is a control freak about his body. So
Uh-huh.
he didn't get strung out and he doesn't use it anymore. But I warned him straight up. I said, I'm already in trouble with this shit. Matter of fact, when I was at the first rehab, the one that didn't work, he's the one that came and picked me up. So I do not hide this stuff from my kids. I don't make excuses. They know exactly what's going on with
How
me.
did you get to that point with your kids of just telling them exactly what's going on with you?
Well, I got sober when he was 3 or 4 and my daughter's 5 years older. So she was like 8. I was taking her to meetings with me, my 8-year-old. Why not? This is your dad. This is the truth. This is reality. So she had a really good understanding of it from a young age. And so did he, so they know. I never hide stuff from them. Matter of, it's so much different than when I grew up. I don't think I had an intelligent conversation with my father ever.
Wow.
My kids call me about everything. Matter of fact, yesterday, my 18-year-old calls me. He goes, hey, he says, it's hitting the fan. I go, what's going on? There was just a bunch of threats against my university and about somebody wanting to come in here and kill a bunch of people. And I said, well, what are they saying? They go, they don't think it's a threat. Well, I said, that's bullshit. Just stay home. Wait till they clear it up. Right. And so I'm straight up with them about all of this stuff. And they always call me about this. He knows that every single one of my kids knows my background and my flaws with that stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, we could go on that, but I want to stay on the personal level with you too of how were drugs and alcohol talked about when you were growing up? How did your parents talk about it? Because it sounds like you're very different than
They didn't. Zero. Nothing. My parents talked about nothing. I mean, I brought myself up. Okay, just to give some background. My mother and her sister, my aunt, both had severe anxiety and depression problems, which put them both in mental institutions. My mother was locked up from the whole time I was in the 2nd grade. My aunt was in there for 2 years. And I was in the house when the first time when they took her to that place that she was having seizures. I don't know if she either overdosed or was in withdrawals. I couldn't get any information from my father. He wouldn't talk about it. It's that old bullshit thing.
Yeah, to comprehend that was like an 8-year-old, that your mom's going away for a while. I mean, it must be really scary.
You know what? Even years later, because she died young. She died at 38 years old.
It's very
not from that. Now they have MRIs and stuff. If she had all this neck pain and stuff, she had an aneurysm basically. So, but I tried to get information from my father about this. He would not talk about it. Not at all. Not at all.
How do you think you turned it around, did a complete 180 and brought your kids into everything?
Well, what I promised myself, if I ever had kids, I would not do to them what my father did to me, because he was a nasty man. He wasn't a nice man. And when I got sober, when I got about 6 months, I called him and told him. And he goes, you weren't taking drugs too, were you? I said, of course I was. He didn't talk to me for 2 years. Wow. That's the mentality. But that whole generation, if you had somebody that had to see a shrink or somebody was gay or anything that didn't fit in, it was totally taboo conversation. Now it's all out in the open, thank God. You know.
It's a very different thing because it's the reality too. I mean, I think that's what's cool about hearing the way you talk to your kids is it is the reality. This is what, picking up in detox, and it sounds like they still love you and are very close to you, that you're...
Yeah, we're all good. It's great. Matter of fact, the 4-year-old about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, he's smoking a lot of pot all the time, right? And he comes to visit me, he goes, I'm smoking too much weed. What do I do? I said, well, you can always call me about it. I said, if it's really becoming that much, you just go to some meetings.
Yeah.
I don't know. Figure it out, But damn well, if you get in trouble with anything, they can call me. He could call me up and tell me he's shooting smack and everything would be fine. I would just figure out how to help him. As opposed to shunning him and looking at him like he's a freak, which keeps people from getting help.
Yep.
And
you're
shame too.
that shame comes in naturally for most people. So
It
it's like
does.
you don't need to put more on someone else. They already have enough on themselves. Typically, someone feels a lot of shame that they can't do this. They've tried to do it. It's not for lack of trying. They've tried to make changes, but it needs more help. It needs something, some external support. Wow. So, Frank, what do you think people can do now if they're struggling with Kratom? What do you think is the best way? Like you said, it's very different for everybody, why they're using it, how it works in their body. But if someone's struggling, what do you think they could do that would
I
help?
think there's a few factors in there. Number one, why they're using it. Let's say, because I know some people use it because it will kick their oxys in a lot heavier. So they're just supplementing their opiates with it to get a bigger thing of it. Because that's one thing. That's like, now you're talking about a junkie kind of a situation. Then there's people like me that got blindsided, that didn't realize what we were getting into, to use it to treat their own medical problems, right? Yeah. And it's different for everybody. But if it gets to the point where you can't put it down, but you want to, and it's making you sick, I don't think you can do this by yourself, especially if you live alone, because I live with just me and my dog. There's no support inside the house. So if you're sitting in here trying to detox, you can't even go to the store to pick up a bottle of water. You're stuck here for a week or two. And then you go, you know what, screw this. I can't even get out of the house. You get dressed, you go in the car, you pick some up, you feel good, and you go back to your business again. This was the hardest one out of anything I ever kicked. It's insidious. Medical detox. It works, but then when you get out, you got to do the follow-up part, like you have to do with anything else.
I know. I think that's what's so hard for a lot of people that are trying to get off of it, is that it is everywhere. So getting away where it's not accessible, detox, residential, and then coming out and having it easily accessible, which is going to likely change. I think a lot more restrictions are going to come in this year. We know 7-OH is being banned in several states. So there's a lot going on with all Kratom, and it's all, like we keep on talking, it's different for different people. But it's like, this conversation is so important for people to know there is a big complexity. It's going to work differently in different bodies. I think more research needs to be done too on the effects, like inflammation, mental health, all the things, how it could be used, in different ways with different dosages for harm reduction. But right now, there's just a lot of variant in the dosage and in the way people are taking it. We know there are a lot of lawsuits out. I won't mention specific companies around Kratom, but there's going to be more and more that we're hearing about. So I think I appreciate the people like you that are willing to share about it and sort of validate for people that are struggling. Like, you're not a failure. This can be really hard. Like, it's not you, for some bodies, this is really addictive. You're not weak, and it's not like everyone else can use this fine and I can't. Like, there's, I think sometimes it gets to be this self-judgment with certain substances, like they're not quote unquote bad enough.
Yeah. You know what I think too is that, yes, we all are different biologically, but also there's all these different strains of the stuff. It's not regulated. So one brand maybe is going to get you more strung out than this other brand. You don't know that until you use it. But one thing I can guarantee, because I've used all the different strains and used all different companies, if you use it long enough, you will get strung out. And the longer you use it, the less it's going to work. And all it's going to do is make you sick. And when you at that point of no return, what are you going to do? You got to stop. Because especially if it's not working anymore. But then a drug addict will go, oh, maybe I'll just take a little bit more, maybe it'll work. It just makes you more sick, So you got to get the medical detox, but you got to do the follow-up when you get out and not get the fuck gets one old. You know what? That powder, because I didn't get into all the other forms. They make those little the 7
like elixirs and like shots and things.
All that stuff. That you know what? That wasn't when I first started. That wasn't there. So I was just using the powder, and I really wasn't aware of the other stuff until the Feel Free thing. And then when we have our Tuesday night meeting, which has been going on for 2 years, that's when I started learning about all the other stuff, which I didn't do. But if that stuff is as strong as Feel Free in those little pills, and they're eating a half a dozen of those a day, that's way worse than the habit I had. And it was bad enough coming off what I was doing. So I can't imagine, that they would need help. I mean, I haven't heard, and there's no information that quitting cold turkey will kill you. I haven't heard that, but what it's going to do is you're going to hit that point after 3 or 4 days, and you start getting more miserable. Unless you have help, you're going to just go buy some because you can't stand it anymore.
I think, yeah, for a lot of people, they get stuck in that cycle of trying really, really hard until it's unmanageable. How has it helped you to talk to other people that struggle with Kratom?
The only people I talk to that struggle with Kratom are the people that are meeting, because I don't know anybody else, any of my friends that even know what it is.
Okay. What keeps you coming then to the meeting though? Like, what about it? Like getting to talk to other
I
people?
like being there. I like to hear the other people's stories, especially the horror stories, because then it makes me, oh God, yeah, not a good idea to go back to that. And also, I think I've got a little bit of enough experience where I can maybe help one guy here and there,
Yep.
and I'm learning more about it too, because like I said, I didn't even know that those little tablets existed or any of that stuff now. And when they're describing that to me, what I realized is they're taking the alkaloids that would come out of this much powder and putting them into something that big, which means that shit is really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's got to be affecting their behavior. It never affected my behavior. I could
So
work.
did it ever affect your performance or your ability to play or
Nope.
yeah.
No, actually, if anything, it helped my hands.
Yeah.
Because they weren't feeling all, stiff and hurting.
Which I think is one of the hardest things about talking about substances is like there's a reason why we bang our head against a wall in general. There's a reason why a bird like flies into a window. It's not to commit suicide. It's because it thinks there's something else over there.
Because they ate some fruit on a tree that was fermented. They happens at my house. They do. They get drunk and they run into the window.
But I think my point is that like we're trying, people are searching, and animals, we search for something, search for some relief. And sometimes the reality is there is relief, but at what cost? So there's temporary relief, short-term relief for longer-term pain, short-term gain, long-term pain, whatever all those things are. That I think that's what makes it really hard to talk about it. Sometimes some people say like, oh, well, you don't want to say the good things about it, the good things. But like if that's someone's reality, that helped your pain temporarily, but it came with the side effect of going into withdrawal multiple times a day. It's like, for some people, Kratom helps them, but they lost a lot of hair. And it's like, that's not worth it for them. That hair loss or the month of constipation, it's not worth the relief than to be in so much physical discomfort and like sickness. So I think that part is so important, like you said, to talk about why people are using and to acknowledge, like you said, like, okay, it was less pain then, but it came with this. Yeah. And I think that's hard for our culture in general to accept that, like, it's not binary, like it's.
Well, this whole culture, actually, in some ways we progressed, but we've gone seriously ass backwards in a lot of ways. Too much judgment about stuff. I'm not going to lie and say that when I was out drinking and using, when I started I loved it. I had a blast. I totally did. I'm not going to say, oh, it was so miserable. No, screw that. I had a blast. And then I wasn't having a blast, and it was done. And I'll say the same thing about Kratom. You would need a medicine cabinet probably full of 6 different prescriptions to do what that one damn powder does, which right now I use Lyrica, which is fibromyalgia, I think they use it for nerve pain and that kind of stuff. Advil, which I can only take 2 days in a row because it burns a hole in my stomach. So it's mostly Tylenol, the Lyrica, the CBD gummies. That's the main things that really help. They do help a lot. They're not as good as the Kratom as far as that goes, but I also don't want to end up back in. I like you guys. I love Mountainside, but I don't want to go back in a detox again.
Understood. And there's other ways you can connect with us. You keep coming to group.
That's right.
Do some social things, and stay connected that way.
And also with the shame thing, I think, to admit to yourself and tell other people that, yes, it was good. And yes, it did work. And don't play that I was miserable card the whole time, because it was working. I mean, shit, morphine is a wonderful thing when you're in pain. Like when I had a kidney stone a few years back, it was the only, right before the surgery, but it was the only thing that would kill the pain. But you can't keep morphine in the house every time you get a headache.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's very, very true. The time and the application and like seeing that nuance, which again, I don't think, some people struggle, especially with that, like in early recovery, and it makes sense. So some of this, I think, too, is like, like a more developed approach. You've been doing this a long time, too. We were able to reflect on it in a different way. So What do you think, what else do you have next in the future coming up? With everything going on in life, you got a little bit of a break working on the house. What are some other things that you want to do this year? What's coming up for you?
What I want to do this year is some stuff I want to do to the house, and I have the time to do it. I'm very much, my house is like, it's the most eclectic, weird place on the planet. Every piece of art does not relate to the other piece of art. There's a Native American art, there's Chinese art, there's Tibetan art. I'm sitting in a room right now with 40 guitars, either on the wall, you know what I mean? So every once in a while, I just sort of rearrange stuff, Like I just had the floor redone on my front porch. A couple of guys did it. And now I'm spending more time out there. Right now, I'm loving that, because my knees started to get screwed up too, because, jumping around on stage like a fool that's long will really screw your knees up. So we're doing 4 miles a day, and we have been, except for that week when we had those 90-degree days. I'm heat intolerant anyway, but I got a newfie, and they can get heat stroke. So, air conditioned in the house, and I would take him out at dark just once. But now in this weather, we go out 4 times a day, and it's really, my knees are way better doing that every day.
Yeah. I mean, it really is such a gift that you can and you do move so much. And that like seems like honestly like the best medicine there is.
I mean, I'm not a guy that can sit still very well anyway. So the walking helps. And, also my work has changed since Bowie died. The big tours ain't happening. So my manager's got me doing all kinds of other stuff, but it's not the same thing as leaving your house in June and then coming back the next July.
Yeah.
On a whole year with the same group of people who become your family on the road and all that. So now I do different things. So I have to watch the isolation.
I was just going to say that one more thing before we go of just, how, you said that a lot, the isolation, the insidiousness and the isolation played a big part of this. How do you combat that isolation? We'll go out with that. What's the best way to combat isolation?
You know what I'd be doing, actually? Because I don't have a family here. I don't know hardly anybody where I live. I live in an area that's very nice, but I don't quite fit in with the culture here. I do know some people I like here. I get out. I drive. Matter of fact, one of my cars needs a lot of work. So I bought a Jeep, which I love. I haven't had one in a while. And the new Jeeps, the roof comes off in the front. Me and him we just drive, get in the car. He loves the car. I love the car. Then I go to those Stewart's?
Yeah, like the gas station.
This is the rock star's life, right? When he's off. So I go to Stewart's when it's warm out. We jump in the car. They have little picnic tables outside.
Yep.
It's ice cream. I get an ice cream, and we sit outside for an hour. And people come over and say hi, and I'm out of the house. Yeah. And it really helps. And there's a few people in town I know. If I see them there, we'll sit down and have a coffee and a smoke or something like that. And as ridiculous as that sounds, it actually helps.
Yeah. It does not sound ridiculous at all.
And I feel better when I come home. I feel like, I don't feel that, because if I stay in the house too many days in a row, it's not good for me. It's not good for me. And thank God I got Tank here, because, he needs to go out. He wants to play. And also it gives me structure that I don't have, because there's no family in my house. He's the structure. I got to make sure I get his food. I got to make sure I cook his food, because he's spoiled to hell. He gets cooked food 7 days a week, and then I play my guitar. I do all my businesses from 7 a.m. till about 11, because it's all UK. So I have to do it early. So I stay busy with all that stuff. But once in a while, I'll catch myself sitting here for a couple of days getting lazy. And I make myself go out. Gotta get out of the house.
Gotta get out of the house. Well, Frank, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you,
I hope some of this is helpful.
Yes, it is helpful. Well, thank you everyone for joining us on the Sober Spill. I feel like with your permission, if we can get a picture of Tank so everyone can see how beautiful he is and see who goes with you around to Stewart's, be great. I don't know if
I should text you. I think I got some. Oh, here he comes. We're talking about him.
There we go.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah. Okay, good boy. I love you too.
Bye. Yeah, he's ready.
Yeah, I'll send you some. I got some funny of him eating ice cream at stores. I'll send them to you.
That will be perfect. Thank you so much, Frank.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, Mountainside can help. Call 860-365-6764 to speak with our caring treatment team.